Buenas. This is the You Live Where show. My name is Diego, and I've been an expat for 10 years now. It's been the best 10 years of my life. A lot of the times I'm questioned as to how do I live this lifestyle, or how did I get into this, or I just know that there's a lot of people curious about how I or the people that do this do this. So the only way that I can provide value to you is by having genuine conversations with these people. So I talk to expats, I talk to people who own homes overseas, and I talk to people who've been on the road for a really long time. And this week we're talking to a gentleman named Max who took a job in China, initially teaching, but now he is an actor. It's an awesome journey. I'm very excited to share this with you guys. So enjoy. Max, hey man, thank you so much for taking your time and coming on our show, bro. It's an absolute pleasure to have you here. Thank you.
Of course, thank you. I'm glad to be here. I'm excited to see how this turns out.
Yeah, man, I'm very excited as well.
Oh.
So let's start at the beginning, man. Tell me, when did you get the travel bug? When did you start to get out there?
Well, that's a bit of a story in and of itself. I had just graduated and I was looking for a job as graduates are wont to do. And I wasn't getting anything. I was struggling quite a lot. And I ended up applying for this job at Michael's. I don't know if you've ever heard of it. It's like a art supply store, kind of like Hobby Lobby, for a night stocking job. And it's online, they make you fill out this. One, they make you submit your resume, and two, they make you fill out everything that's on the resume again on their website. So, I spent an hour doing that, and then I get to the very last question, and it's, how much do you think we should pay you for this role? And something about that really struck me the wrong way. I mean, what do you mean? How much do you think? $1 million, enough to live, right? Obviously, like the whole reason they asked this is so that they could just pick whoever gives them the lowest number, right? Uh, and from that, I was like, I'm not doing this. And I happened to have had a teacher in high school who used to work with a guy who was Chinese. This guy went back to China. He opened his own training center. It's like after school English tutoring. They're called training centers. And they were looking to hire. And I said, you know what? Can't be worse than Michael's. Can't be worse than that. So I'll give it a try. And here I am 5 or 6 years later.
So China's the first country you've been to? That was your first leap?
It was my first, yeah, as far as I could go across the whole ocean. It was the first time I traveled abroad.
That's incredible, dude. That's a leap.
Yeah, hey, if you're gonna go, go big, right? Go big or
So,
go home.
so wow. All right. How did you prepare for that trip? Like mentally, I knew you were like over Michaels, fuck Michaels, but like, how did you prepare to like, all right, I'm going to China, dude. I'm gonna make this happen. What do you do what do you tell yourself?
I mean, to be honest, it was like I was very young, foolhardy. I didn't put too much thought into it other than like, all right, let's go. Fortunately, we live in the modern era. I did some Googling, I did some light research, but in terms of like psyching myself out, I didn't need to do much. It was just okay. I can't do this. Let's see what's going on over there. Let's see what's happening. And then I got on the plane and went. Of course, there was some preparations. I needed to prepare a visa, get some documents in order, but that was hardly difficult.
Okay, so you're American, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay, all right. So the American passport holds a lot of weight, and the American passport basically you don't have to apply
Oh
to
yeah.
go anywhere. You could jump on the plane and just about go anywhere in the world. But you do have to apply for a visa to go to
You
China.
you
Um,
do. You do have to apply.
so I've been to
Yeah.
China a lot, and I remember getting that visa, and it wasn't crazy, but it was far from me. So you're originally from
I'm from San Francisco, but at the time I was living in Albuquerque,
okay.
New
So what did you
Mexico.
have to do to get that visa?
It wasn't too bad. If memory serves, they need a bunch of, like, you got to get a health, if you're getting a work visa, it's different from a tourist visa, right? So you got to go get a health check. They send you a little document. The health check's crazy though, because it's like a Chinese document. And you like give this to your doctor, and they're like, I can't read this. What do you want me to do? So, right? Like I can't sign off on this. So you have to go, it's different now. They have it's in English and Chinese, but back then it was just in Chinese. So you have to go get it translated at a notary, and then get it all stamped appropriately, and then you get your doctor to fill it out. And it has all sorts of like just peculiar questions. It's like, the doctor has to certify that you suffer from no instances of hooliganism or other the translation's just not right. It doesn't translate well. So, you get that done. The doctor signs off on it. No communicable diseases, no hooliganism, whatever else. And then you have to, because I lived in New Mexico, I was under the purview of the Chinese consulate in LA. So I had to hire a courier in LA. I would send everything to the courier plus a cashier's check. They'd take it to the embassy. The embassy would disappear with it for a couple weeks, and then when the courier got it back, they mailed it to me.
All right. Okay. So not too tough of a
Yeah.
process.
No, it's really just ticking boxes, dotting your I's and crossing your T's. You're pretty much guaranteed to get it as long as you meet the qualifications.
All right. Okay. And then when you left, where was your where are you going? Did you have like a place? Did you have a room set up for your
Yeah, yeah, I had a job. No, I had okay, actually, I had no money. I had literally $0.
Okay.
I had just enough to buy my ticket. I had a job set up, obviously, and the job had like there's a little period before you start where they put you up in a hotel and they run you through their training, right? This is how you teach children by so that they don't just throw you in front of a class. So they put me up in a hotel. First time in my life I'd ever been in a hotel room without windows. I didn't know that that was a thing, and I had never been in slept in a room without windows. It's very disorienting.
I don't
But
think
yeah,
I've ever been
you
and done
hop.
that. I don't think I've ever been
No,
in a
I
room
didn't
without
realize it.
windows.
No,
Yeah.
I had no idea. Obviously, it was the cheapest thing they could find, right?
All right.
I think it was actually a Super 8, funnily enough, like the American motel brand. But they put you up, you do the training, they make sure everything's good, and then because they have 100,000 training centers all over, then they assign you one, and then you get an apartment from there. So I had no apartment set. I knew I had a hotel for a week. So, I'll figure it out. I'll make it work. I ended up, fortunately, they ended up actually, because I knew the guy who was the boss, or I knew a guy who knew the guy who was the boss, they gave me a loan, a small loan to rent an apartment. Renting an apartment here is a bit of a trouble. They don't tell you this ahead of time, but you actually have to pay 3 months at a time. So you pay quarterly, you pay up
Wow.
front, plus you pay a 1 month deposit and a 1 month agent fee. So to move into a new apartment, you need 5 months rent, like ready to go. So, apartments are cheap here, but even if you're spending, 500 bucks, you're still coming up with, if you have $0, 2,500 bucks is a bit of a
Yeah,
down
yeah,
payment.
yeah, yeah.
The loan worked out. It was okay.
Excellent. And all right, so what did you bring with you, man? Like, how was your packing situation? Did you take everything? Did you put some stuff into storage? Did you just throw a book bag on? How did you handle it?
I took a lot of things that were probably in hindsight not needed, and a lot of things that I needed I didn't take because I didn't know what I was doing as a stupid kid, right? So, when I did finally move into my apartment, I didn't have like a blanket. I hadn't thought to bring a blanket, so I was sleeping under my jacket on a bed with no sheets or anything. So yeah, I brought a couple heavy jackets. I read that Beijing was pretty cold. It was the winter when I came, so I brought some heavy jackets. I bought a lot. I brought a lot of clothes, which again was kind of foolish. I feel like it would have been better to bring some like living amenities. But it's okay. I mean, in the end, you can buy anything here, right? It's the factory of the world. So yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
mostly just clothes, mostly clothes.
All right. And when you told, any the family, the friends, when you're like, yo, guys, I'm fucking out. I'm going to China. How was that? How did they take that? How did anybody take that?
I think initial surprise, like, oh, what? Why? And China maybe doesn't have the best rep in the States
We'll say it has a
or in
unique
many parts of
position
the
right
world.
now, right? It's got a
Let's
unique,
let's say that
yeah, it's got a
it's
unique position in the way it may be perceived in the States, which is you're there, man. So I want to hear it.
oh yeah, yeah. It has a unique position, so people were surprised. it was really ultimately my mom who was, she was the main support. Other people surprised, but not against it. They were kind of like, okay, you do you, whatever, bro.
You do
You
you.
know, you figure it out. My godfather was worried. His view of China, he thinks it's still like, I don't know, the Cultural Revolution or something. He thinks the Red Guard are going around,
Like
beating
Mao is
people
gonna
with
pop out from
sticks.
somewhere.
Yeah, yeah, like yeah, he's gonna rise from his mausoleum. He needed to be like calmed down a bit. Still suspicious, but ultimately, he can't stop me.
Right.
Yeah, and people were generally pretty accepting.
That's awesome, man. That's really cool.
Yeah,
All right. So
yeah, it's
you
nice. It's good.
so you arrive in China. What's culture
Hmm.
shock? What's your first holy shit? What was the first holy shit moment? Like, you know what I mean?
I arrived in China before we left. The company that was employing me sent me an email. It's like, hey, when you get into the airport, don't take the scam taxis. And there's like a little list of instructions like don't take us, make sure you get a real taxi, don't go down here, don't do that. Now, I had been traveling for, probably 20 hours, 22 hours. I'd been up that whole time. I was very tired. I arrived, it was super late. I mean, super late. It's super late when you've been up 20 hours. It was like 11
Okay.
p.m. And I just forgot about that entirely. So I went the wrong way. I got ushered in by the scam taxi guy. I signed the stupid scam contract. I get in the fucking stupid scam taxi, and we're driving through, heading down to the hotel. And the first thing that really struck me was like, wow, we passed by Wangfujing, and it's like the Beijing headquarters for Alibaba. I don't know if you've heard of Alibaba. Very
Yeah, yeah,
big
yeah, yeah, yeah.
company.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah, yeah. And it's like these huge glowing office towers. It's 11 p.m. at night. They're all lit up, with LEDs, and they're like have videos playing on them of like a dragon dancing around. It's just like, whoa, okay, it's whatever your thoughts on the city may be. It's clearly very modern and in many respects quite developed, and it was just very surprising in that respect. Yeah, yeah, just quite the surprise. Of course, I ended up paying like $100 for a
That's
20-minute taxi ride, so that's culture shock too. And when I got that bill, I was like, wait, what is this? One, I was like, wow, it's so advanced, it's so developed, and then the next second, I'm getting scammed. So it's a land of contradiction.
That's awesome. All right. So
Yeah.
let me ask you a question. Did you have a vision of what it was going to be like in your head prior to you getting there? Like, what's the difference of what you had going on in your head living there to actually living there?
It's a good question. I think as much as China gets like a bad rap in the West, I did my best to go in uh, like an empty vessel, waiting to be filled. I decided that I wasn't
Nice.
gonna. I mean, I don't think I decided. I think I just was, kind of dumb. I was a stupid kid. So I just happened to be stupid, but it was good because it allowed me to experience it without a lot of preconceived notions. I wasn't expecting anything. I didn't know. I was expecting a paycheck. That's what I was waiting for.
Okay.
And that I did find. I was surprised in some ways, but not like hugely so. Like I said, it's a very modern city.
Okay. All right. And so you
Yeah.
went, so again, you're there for work.
Yeah, of course. I'm
Oh,
still here for work.
okay. How is that their
Hmm.
work culture to the US work culture? Like, how do you feel working there is different than working here? How would you?
I would say, I mean, my work experience in the United States is pretty limited, I'll be honest.
Okay.
But from what I can tell, the work culture here can be much more severe. There's this famous phrase, kind of a lingo. It's 996. It's 9 a.m. to 9 p.m., 6 days a week. That's a lot. That's a lot of work. It's especially
996.
prevalent in like, yeah, it's especially prevalent in like the tech industry, for example, Alibaba. As a teacher, it's not so bad. You're limited in the hours you can work because, infants and children cannot be, learning lessons at 11 p.m. It doesn't happen. So it's a little more relaxed. I would say that their companies seem to really keep a pretty firm grip on your time. So it doesn't matter that you have nothing to do. Yeah, I understand you're a teacher. Yeah, I understand your lessons are all pre-made. But we want you here for 9 hours anyway. And that's another thing too. They do 9 hour days, if they're not doing 12-hour days, because they don't count lunch. Lunch is unpaid. So you get an hour off for lunch, but it's not like part of your work time.
Okay.
So, I didn't work much in America, but that wasn't any bullshit I remember in the States, that's for sure. So companies are a lot more controlling of one's time. Um, it's not like a hard and fast rule, but generally speaking, I would say, much more so. And it's not my favorite, but I think it's worth the trade-off.
All right. Okay.
Hmm.
So you began as a teacher there, right? You're a teacher?
I did.
What did
I
you
came as a teacher.
you were teaching English?
Yeah, yeah, they love learning English, or they love their kids learning English, I'll
Your
say.
well, I was going to ask your students, were they what were they like, younger, older, what, in the middle, all mixed?
So it was a training center. So the youngest were like pre-K.
Oh
So,
shit. Okay.
maybe 4 years old, I think is pre-K.
Okay.
The oldest at the training center, I think were like, I don't know, 14, maybe 13, 14. So that's like all of elementary school, all the way up to like the bits of middle school.
So I don't even know how to ask this question right, but viewing the youth, viewing the youth of China, right,
Yeah.
being around all these little kids, what's the first thing that comes to mind for you? Like, obviously, it's different than the U.S., and I don't want to know, or I don't know how to ask how would that be different, but what comes to your mind when I'm like, all right, so what's up with their youth? You've spent time with their
That's
kids.
that's a great question. I'd say that the youth are the same wherever you go. I'd say whether you're dealing with, I mean, I'll say that whether you're dealing with kids in the United States, or you're dealing with kids in China or Japan or Russia or, Timbuktu, whatever the fuck. A 3-year-old is pretty basic in its set of wants and needs. Where
Awesome.
where where things are different, I think, is in the way that kids are uh, treated. Maybe treated is the wrong way, but like the way they are raised. Um, Obviously, parents all around the world want the best for their kids, but like systematically, right? If we're going by statistically, parents in China spend huge money. They spend big money, billions and billions and billions of dollars on after school tutoring, on music lessons, on it's like this extremely competitive environment where you have to get the best for your kid. So I've had students that were like, okay, I finish school at, I don't know, 5 p.m. And then I have an hour of English lessons, and then I have an hour of tennis lessons, and then I have an hour of piano lessons, and then math, and then another English lesson, and then I get to go to bed at 11:30 p.m. All right? You don't see that so much in the States. So there's like this real, and of course the kids I deal with are the ones that can afford that, right? But there's this real drive for just, you're going to be excellent in all of these fields to stand out so that when you want to go to college, whether you're preparing for the test to the Gaokao, the like national college entrance exam here, you're either going to ace that or, you're going to go to abroad to Oxford or whatever. Um, they're really big on pushing their kids to achieve for better and worse. You don't get much time to be a kid when you have 7 hours of after school lessons every day.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I hear you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. All right. So this is a big one. The language, man. How are you doing? This had to come up, you know what I mean? But how are you doing
Of
with the
course.
how is that? Break that all down. What all right, let's start. Have you learned anything? Have you learned any Chinese? Are you speaking any?
Yeah, yeah. I'm conversational. I wouldn't, call myself fluent, but I can express wants and needs. I can maybe
Okay.
hold basic conversations. It's a very different language. It shares no ancestry with English at all. Nothing. Um, you can get by without knowing any Chinese. I mean, you're an expat, I'm sure you've met people you're in Nicaragua, right? I'm sure you've met people who've been there a long time and don't know any Spanish. You can get by. It's doable. I met a guy who's been here since 2008, and he doesn't know a word. It's easy, in fact. It's
uh,
ridiculous, but I understand how it can happen. It's like, these days especially, you got your phone. Your phone speaks Chinese, even if
yeah.
you don't. If you really need to get something across, you can use it. Apps, of course, China's very big on the apps. All of that you can navigate. It either has an English option or like you learn which icons do what. I would say, I would say that if you come and you plan on staying for any significant amount of time, not learning the language is obviously a detriment, right? You miss out on a lot of possible connections. You miss out on cool opportunities. I know I make more money than some of my peers because I can advertise that I speak Chinese. Like if they want to do something in a Chinese language for a shoot, for example, I'm not great, but I can get my point across. And if I couldn't do that, obviously I wouldn't get that. So of course, like if you're gonna go abroad, and especially if you're gonna live abroad, like yeah, learn what the fuck are you doing? Learn the language. Come on.
Yeah.
At least learn. You don't gotta be an expert. You don't gotta be the master, but you should be able to get by. Be able to get by.
All right.
You know?
Awesome.
Yeah.
How long did you think it
Yeah.
took you to start getting some shit down? Or did you practice this at home and bring it with you?
Ooh. No, no, no. But between me deciding to leave and coming was like maybe 2 months. It was like the amount of time it took
All
for
right.
this. So,
All
so
right.
there
All
was no, yeah. But I'd say actually, to be honest, for my first 2 years, I was kind of that. I was kind of the guy who didn't learn anything.
Dude, two
I'll be
years. Come
real,
on now. Yeah.
I didn't even bother though. It was the difference. I didn't even try. After that, I started picking it up. Once you start like actively trying, you can pick it up pretty quick because you're like in an immersive environment. If you
Yeah.
want to practice, good news. Nobody around nobody around you even speaks your language, so you got to come to them if you want to talk to
Yeah.
them.
Yeah.
You can pick up the basics if you put in a couple hours of study a day. You can have like a conversation, a basic conversation. I don't know, in a couple months, by a year, maybe if you're a slow learner or
Okay.
you're just taking it easy.
That's not
Yeah.
awful. That's not the
No,
worst.
it's not bad. It
Uh,
depends. It depends. You put out what you get in. You reap what you sow.
there you go. So here's my
Yeah.
segue. How's the social life, man? Do you have friends? Do you have like a place to go? Like, how's your
I choose to live in Beijing, specifically for the social life is a pretty big aspect of it, right? Beijing's the capital city. It has all the embassies, so there's tons of foreigners around. There's restaurants, yada yada yada. There's a decent social life to be had here. I would say if you want to move to a smaller city, that's where things start. That's where if you move to a city that's not Beijing, even if you move to just like a second tier city, that's where you're gonna start to get into the like triple digit or double digit number of foreigners. The social life's gonna get real small, real fast. Beijing's not so bad. There's events, there's groups, there's special interest groups, there's hobbies, hiking and D&D and bars and trivia nights and whatever else. So if you're in a major city, social life's not a big problem. There's definitely a particular kind of person, I think, who's drawn here. So hopefully you can get along well with them. Uh, it's a certain, but provided you can, you're all right. It's a very particular. I mean, I don't know. I think expats in general. I've never lived outside of China, but I think expats in general are usually a pretty kooky bunch of crazy people. So as long as you can get along, go along to get along with the crazy, you can have a good time. There's
Dude,
fun to be had.
That is so true. I'll tell you, no matter who I talk to in Nicaragua, as far as foreigners, and I always tell them, man, we all have that one underlying connection. That if you're a little bit tweaked to be living fucking here, we all have that. You know what I'm saying? All of us
Yeah,
have that in
exactly.
whatever sport, politics, we have this that binds us, you know?
Yeah, well, the weird incongruity of living in this place. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. The people who can hack it.
Yeah, yeah, dude. I just did an interview with a guy who is a relocation specialist in Costa Rica, and the first thing he says, man, is immigration's not for pussies. He's like, dude, I know. I laughed so hard, man. I was like, spot on, dude. Yeah.
It's
Okay.
not. It's not.
So let me ask you, what's the hardest thing for you out of all of this that you're dealing with? What's the hardest part of it?
Hmm. You know, on like a technical level, the biggest difficulty for me personally is managing my visa. Now, if you're coming as like a teacher, or you work for a 9 to 5 or whatever, it's not that hard. Your company will handle it for you. I have my own company. Sounds fancy, it's not. I'm a one-man show, but mostly to handle my visa. It's a nightmare. Dealing with bureaucracy anywhere in the world's a nightmare. Dealing with Chinese bureaucracy is a fucking nightmare. It is a nightmare. It is incongruous. It is in ways that seem to me illogical. Uh, it is a black box, you know. We need this document and this document. I say, okay, well, in America, we don't have that. They're like, we need your personal stamp. We need your chop. I'm like, we don't. I can sign it. I have a signature. I don't have a chop. I don't know what the fuck are you talking about. In America, we don't have, like, you know. And they're like, no, we must have the chop. So then I have to go get like a special letter from the embassy saying that, like, no, actually, we don't have those. And then I have to get it signed, and then I have to send it here, and then get it approved, and then it's not approved because it was signed by the wrong guy. So I can send it back. Dealing with the bureaucracy is a nightmare. Dealing with Chinese bureaucracy, doubly so. Just unimaginable. On a more personal level, I would say that there are some difficulties. There are some things in China that are accepted as like normal, uh, that I find not deal breaking, but irritating. You know, it's like a death by 1,000 cuts, you know, that sort of thing. A great example, toilet paper. Okay, you're thinking, what do you mean fucking toilet paper? What about it? Okay, anywhere else in the world, or at least in America, if you go to a public bathroom, there's going to be toilet paper that you can use to wipe your ass. Now, in China, it's just not, they don't provide it. Bring your own. BYOTP. And it's like, why? You know, God, that made for a horrible. I'll tell you, when I learned that, it was not a good time. It was a bad trip home. It was not good.
Oh.
Now, I don't know why this is the case. From what I've read, or from what I've been told, and what I'm likely to like, I believe, is that during the Cultural Revolution, they were like, you know, it was a crazy time. It was a great leap forward. You're not no food security, no security for anything. So when there's freebies, old people, you know, 70-year-old, 80-year-old people who lived during that time will go and just like take all of the freebies.
Okay.
So if they put toilet paper in the bathroom, grandma is going to go in at 6 a.m. and take it all so that she doesn't have to pay for toilet paper. And never mind, toilet paper costs literally pennies. So you know, I don't hate it, but you know, not my favorite. It's definitely a unique sort of way of doing things.
Okay. All right. Oh, death by 1,000 cuts. I like that. How did you do
Mm.
with the food, man? Tell me about your diet. Tell me about how you've adjusted to Chinese cuisine. Or are you still eating at McDonald's and
Yeah,
shit?
I like McDonald's. Hey,
Every now and then,
I'm
I
not
know
gonna
it's a
deny
treat.
it. Yeah,
We do the
yeah,
chicken
yeah.
nuggets
I'll have
every
a
now and then,
hamburger.
man.
Hey, it works, man. I know what I'm getting. It's good. It's good. Chinese food is, well, I'll put it this way. Most food in my life, anywhere in the world, is actually shit. Most food's bad if you're going out. But if you know what you're looking for, if you have uh, the ability to sort of tell what is good and what is bad, then you can pretty easily separate the wheat from the chaff. There's plenty of delicious, high quality, excellent Chinese food available, very cheap, and I eat it all the time. China's a huge country. There's a huge variety. They even have a saying. They have like nine different national cuisine areas, with each with their own specialty. You can have food from the far west, Xinjiang. You can have spicy food from like the southern, I don't even know, the southern China. There's tons of opportunity, tons of variety. Also, fortunately, again, because I live in Beijing, there's no shortage of foreign food. I eat foreign food all the time. All the embassies are here, so they have restaurants here. So, I enjoy Russian food and Chinese food, and I have a more varied diet than I've ever had before, available at a lower price than I've ever had before. If you really want to go like, oh, I want a fancy foreign meal, of course, I mean, you can spend $1,000, but you don't have to. $20, $30, including delivery, done. I eat restaurant prepared food pretty much for every meal. I don't do much cooking. Occasionally, rarely, if there's something I love rice-a-roni. I don't know if you know rice-a-roni.
Yeah.
Can't get that anywhere else. I make that at home. Yeah.
Okay.
But there's a huge, huge variety, tons of options, but you have to learn how to tell the shit from the gold. You can absolutely order shit and become violently ill. But after a while, you start to be able to tell. There's just certain signs that a restaurant isn't all that. When you go in and you see like dust on the tables or cigarette butts on the floor, eh, maybe not it. Maybe not the place to be.
All right. Okay. All right. Um, do you have a hidden gem for me? Like, what's your spot, man? What's your number one restaurant that I'd be able to throw out to people? Like in Beijing, my man said this is the spot.
The number one, oh, it's a
Your
pity.
spot, your favorite spot.
My favorite spot literally last week I traveled there. It's a bit of a trek, and it's like the ending scene of the Planet of the Apes. It was closed. It was boarded up. The
The
fucking
Planet of
the
the Apes.
bastards.
Oh
Yeah, they
no,
took it from
man.
us.
All right, so what's your second spot?
Uh, my second spot. Well, okay. I'm okay. I'm gonna let's see. It's my second spot. I would say you can't go wrong with local. Lokal. Local. It's a chain. I won't lie, it's a chain. Um, but that's good because otherwise, if I told you any of these like hole in the walls, you're never gonna find it. Local is solid. It's a great chain. They serve a mix. It's sort of like Chinese hipster health food fusion.
Okay.
Pretty unique. I like their tilapia. It's good. It's solid. You can't go wrong. Local.
Okay.
Lokal.
Local. I'm
Mm.
on it. Thank you. All right. Do you
Mhm.
travel a lot, man? Do you get in the country? Do you go out? Do you
I
see shit?
do.
Do you do stuff?
I do. My job has me traveling around a lot. They'll often pay to fly me out to wherever they're shooting, right? So I've been to a bunch of cities. It's funny because I end up going to a bunch of cities and never actually seeing them, right? Like I've been to so many cities dozens of times that I've never actually bothered to go see. More recently, I've started to like try and stay an extra day or go out on my own accord to see what's going on. And I'd say like if you're not going to like a specific tourist spot, right? Obviously the Great Wall or the Terracotta Warriors or whatever, your best bet is the smaller the city, the better. The more village-like it is, the more adventure there is to be had. Because,
Okay.
when you're going to these like tier two cities, it's like, oh, cool, it's another fucking Confucian temple. I haven't seen 10,000 of these. It's not like there's 50 of these in Beijing. So, I'd say eventually it gets to the point where it's like, you know what, let's find the smallest, randomest little village and get drunk with some old guy who's sitting on his porch there. You'll have a better time than, you know, choosing tier two cities.
Dude, that's awesome. That is great knowledge right there. Seriously, that's awesome.
Yeah, for sure. And people are super kind too. It's crazy. You think of China as like a pretty modern country, and it is. But the more out there you get, the like crazier shit gets. I was in Xinjiang, which is like far, far western China, and I was on a sleeper train, the slow train. It's like super cheap. Almost everybody takes the bullet train these days because it's fast. But if you're on the sleeper train, it's where you meet people who can't afford the bullet train. And I met this guy who is from the hinterlands of the hinterlands. Xinjiang's already like bumfuck, and he was from the bumfuck of bumfuck. And he told me, he's like, I've never met a white person in person before. And I was like, whoa, what the, like, what the fuck? What do you mean?
That's
What do you
awesome,
mean you've
dude.
never, that's
You have a
crazy,
you have a
right?
giant burden on your shoulders. You better have held it down, man.
Yeah, I'm a great representative,
Yeah,
We had some beers, right? Yeah, we had a couple of beers. I never, circumstances didn't allow it, but he invited me out to like his homestead, maybe one day. But yeah, that's the sort of thing where you meet like interesting people. China is really big on tourism, especially people don't realize a lot of their tourists are interior, right?
Sure.
So people from Beijing go see whatever. So they have, and the stuff that's geared towards tourists is like obviously, it's kind of Disney-fied a little bit, right? So if you can, skip it, avoid it. You see the Great Wall, whatever. In fact, you don't even have to see the touristy part of the Great Wall. You can go to the Great Wall is 2,000 miles long. You can go to the interesting part of the Great Wall if you really want to. So if you're coming, I'd recommend doing it that way because it's just more
Cool.
interesting.
So
Yeah,
you've mentioned it twice, and we haven't gotten there yet. So you said you do a shoot. You and I already know,
Hmm.
but so you're an actor, huh?
I am.
Tell
I
me
am. It sounds
that's
fancy, but it's not.
Oh, it's fancy. I want to hear that story, especially in China. Tell me what's going on. How did that play out and move on?
So I came to China in January of 2019 on a one-year teaching contract. Um, 2019 went by just fine. January of 2020, my contract was up. I was going to travel a little bit with the bonus I got at the end of the year and then, maybe get a new teaching job. Circumstances in January of 2020 kind of changed that a little bit. The world changed, right?
Shit, you were at ground zero for
Uh,
that too, huh?
I mean, I was the same
I
country.
mean,
I was a different city, but
yeah,
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 yeah.
yeah, yeah. Pretty much. Not only that, I stayed through COVID or most of it. Um, so yeah, circumstances change. They lock down the city. They lock down the country. I'm thinking to myself, man, do I really want to be? And at this point, we don't know what COVID is. We know that there's some shit. It's scary enough to lock down a city of 11 million people, the city the size of New York. It's scary enough to close all border crossing. I'm thinking like, ooh, I don't know. I don't really want to be in a room with fucking 30 kids all like licking the floor and stuff. Probably not. So, so I look for a job where I'm not in a classroom. And I find a job with some startup doing like almost a Blues Clues sort of like Chinese Blues Clues ripoff is what they're going for. So I'm like Steve from Blues Clues, right? Okay, I take the job. Pays better. I'm not in a classroom. There's three people in a green screen studio instead of 30 kids. Great. I take the job. I meet people. I meet the cameraman. I meet the director. After a while, they leave. They go to different companies. Now they know a guy if they want a foreigner, and they give me a call. I go to another job. I meet some more people, and you network. So before long, I was doing tons of these. I was doing all sorts of like weird English educational stuff, and these are like the halcyon days for this, right? The money was just flowing in. Venture capitalists were throwing $1 billion at anybody who had a camera and a desire to teach Chinese kids English. So the pay was great, making tons of great people, and you just get into it that way. Policy changed. Education became more difficult to fund. So the style of video changed. Uh, there are way more mobile games that are produced in China than you think. You know, those like horrible, I don't know, like if you ever go on YouTube, you see those like really just dog shit ads for random mobile games.
I'm with you. All right.
Yeah, on Facebook. Well, a lot of those companies are based here, and it's cheaper to hire a crew here and a foreigner here than it is to hire one in LA. You might have to pay the actor the same as you would in LA. You might even have to pay them more because there's fewer of them, but the crew is cheaper. The crew is way cheaper. So you're still saving money by shooting it here. And you just learn to do it that way. More recently, I've started to get into these like short dramas. I don't know if you know anything about them. They're very mature in China. They've been doing them for years. They're taking off in the West. They're blowing up right now, double-digit growth per quarter. They're dramas that are episodes are maybe 2 minutes long and they're filmed like 9 by 16 vertically. Super high melodrama. My husband is a billionaire mafia boss firefighter, and I have to marry him by contract, or the mob will kill my dad because my dad owes them money. It's like a
Heavy.
telenovela,
Yeah,
right?
heavy. I'm with you.
Yeah. So those are popping off right now. I'm in a ton of those. And it's nice. It's pleasant. I don't have to work a lot to pay my bills, so it's nice. I'd hardly say I say I'm an actor. I guess I am, but it's not like I'm out here. I'm not Daniel Day-Lewis, right? Most of what I do
Soon.
is.
give
I don't think so. I
give
don't
that
think
time,
so.
man. We don't know where this ends up. I have faith in you, brother. I need to say I know a white boy actor in China. What do you mean?
Most of what I do are these like game ads. So an example of a game ad would be like you have some game, let's say it's like a match, whatever, it doesn't even matter what the game is. You'll open with a skit. So like for example, one I did the other day. And again, the acting's bad, the lighting's bad, the script is bad, but that's kind of the point. Where there's a line at there's a line at a cafe. Uh, a guy is trying to pay. He can't pay. His card is declined. The cashier gets mad, starts yelling, I'm gonna call the police. The guy taps on his shoulder from behind. Hey, I can help you. And he shows him his phone. I say, what is this? This isn't money. This is a phone game. And he's like, yeah, try it. And you go, wow, this game is so awesome. And that's the end of the ad. And then, they cut to gameplay footage. So it's like it's nonsense, but it gets clicks, right? So that's probably 90% of what I do. I'm not
Have
here
you
making big feature films or
have you
anything.
had a recognition moment yet? Have you been in the street and somebody been like, "Holy shit, it's the dude"? Has that happened yet?
Yeah, actually.
Yes.
Yeah. Not so I've had Chinese people recognize me on stuff that I've done for uh, the Chinese audience, domestic market. I've yet to have a foreigner recognize me
Okay.
for stuff I've done for the foreign market. Although I have had friends, my colleagues in this industry. There's not a lot of us. It's a pretty small community who have been recognized for their game ads. They're quite prolific.
That's awesome, dude. That's cool, man.
Yeah. I mean, it pays the bills, and I won't be. It's easy work, and it pays very well, especially with the cost of living here being what it is.
So how's the cost of living there?
Very low. I pay, I don't know, $180 for my apartment. It's like a one room, right? It's a studio. Not even a studio. I mean, I don't know. You saw the TikTok, right? It's I have room I have roommates. I've never met them, but technically
You have
they're
your own
there.
bathroom.
I have a master. Yeah, I have a master,
There
so
you
it's
go.
fine. And I don't cook, so whatever. Yeah, you can live much more lavishly if you want. Like at the high level, a super nice apartment, blah 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 blah. You're gonna be paying a lot of money. If you want a $10,000 a month apartment, you can get it, and it will be just as good as a $10,000 a month apartment in New York or whatever. But at the mid-level, things are much more affordable, right? So if you come here as a foreigner, at a minimum, you're probably going to be making 4, 5 times the local average salary, which means that like what is difficult for them to attain is very easy for you to attain, right? What is aspirational for an average Chinese here is your baseline. So you have a nicer apartment comparably. You can eat food. You can get delivery every day for $10 or less a meal. Can you spend more? Of course. Sometimes I
Totally.
splurge. I'll buy sushi for more, $20, $30. But to like comparably,
Uh,
I mean, it's tough to beat. It's tough to beat. It's very hard to beat. In fact, I would say one of their great innovations here is how easy they make it to live, right? They're very good at taking your money, I should say. They're very skilled at it because they make it such a convenience. It's such a convenience. I can take a taxi, and I do take a taxi pretty much everywhere I go. It's not because the public transit isn't suitable. Public transit here is great, fantastic even, probably among the best in the world. But like, yeah, I could walk 500 meters to the subway, or I could spend $2 and have a taxi arrive at my door. Like, I think I'll take the taxi. What's the
all right,
difference,
all right.
So, the cost of living very low. You can get by. I mean, you can get by on $1,000 a month very easy, very comfortably. If you
Okay,
want to spend
there you
more than
go.
that, you absolutely can. I know a lot of people who save just a crazy amount of money, proportionate to like what they're making, right? So if you're making $3,000 a month, then they're getting by on $500. Then they're saving $1,500, right? It's not bad, or $2,500, not bad. So it's good.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. That's good to hear. It's good to know.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
so what's a typical day look like for you, man? Like you wake up and
Well, I have a pretty, I mean, I'm essentially a freelancer, right? So I have a very like, when it rains, it pours kind of schedule.
okay,
So for example, this week, I don't think I've done anything.
that's
I don't
awesome.
even know what day it is. I don't
That's
even know what day it
awesome.
is. Because I go when they tell me to go, right?
Right.
There's no stress because I need to work, 3 or 4 days a month to cover, not even, I need to work like 3 days a month to cover all of my expenses. So I'm never really too stressed about what's coming up next. So I take it pretty easy. I go and
Dude,
I see things.
that's a
Sometimes I
hardcore
stay
flex.
home.
That's a hardcore flex,
Yeah, it
man.
is.
Yeah, that's awesome, dude.
It's why I live here. It's
Yeah.
no question. It's why I live here. Because like,
Uh,
if you can get by working 3 days a month, if that isn't freedom, what is, right?
good quote, bro.
So
That was awesome.
some days I will. I mean, I wake up late almost every day, but I'll wake up. I will usually have a coffee or some breakfast. Sometimes I'll order in. Sometimes I'll go out. I'll check my emails, see if I got any jobs. Check on my phone. And just go about my day. Sometimes I go to the gym, sometimes I go to the park. If I'm working, it depends, right? If I'm doing a game ad, usually the night before, they'll tell me like, okay, we're gonna be at this studio today or tomorrow. We need you to be there at 9 a.m. For this day, we're gonna need you to bring a suit, a pair of leather shoes, a pair of sneakers, and three different like daily casual outfits or whatever the requirements are, right? So I'll pack my bag the night before. In the morning, I'll take my taxi. If I'm doing a vertical drama, odds are it's probably not going to be in Beijing. They don't do too many of them here. They will book a train or plane. They'll send me the details and I'll go. I don't need to bring anything for those. They'll provide the clothes. Usually when I'm on the train or plane, I'll read the script. I'll get in the night before my shooting. I'll go to the hotel. Then, I'll wait for my call time the next day. Sometimes it's a long day, 12 hours. Sometimes you're a supporting role, you're in there maybe 2 or 3 hours. It kind of depends.
All right. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's easy. It's easy.
Yeah.
That's more like if I could sum it all up, like that's what it is. It's easy.
That's awesome. That's great. All right,
Mm.
let me ask you something. If you can go back in time and you could teach you before coming here, you about coming here, what would you tell yourself? What would you teach
Mm.
yourself?
Well, I think the most important lesson I've learned, I don't know if it's just here or just as I've gotten older, is that you need to know when to shut the fuck up, you know? Some sometimes it's not the time for talking, right? I think I mentioned it a little bit before, but like I said, if you come here, even as a teacher, you're making two, three, four, five times the income, the average income here. And you don't have to say that out loud explicitly to piss people off or to make people the green eye of envy, right? Uh, or even, like you said before, working 3 days a month is a huge flex, right? Sometimes in the wrong company, saying some stuff like that is not going to win you any friends. In fact, it's going to make people annoyed by your presence. And it's easy to forget that, yeah, you're American, you benefit from American empire, wherever you are, but like you're still a guest. You're still a guest in this country, right? Wherever it is. You're a guest of the government. You're a guest of the people there. And there needs to be a degree of humility in that. And even if you're not like actively being an asshole, it's easy to passively be an asshole. And you should avoid doing that. I don't know if I would have understood that when if I went back in time and said that to myself, but that would be the point that I would try and get across.
Good call. That's a good one, man.
Mm.
I like that. Yeah, you can passively be an asshole.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
definitely.
Um, what about your healthcare, man? How's healthcare there? How is the system? I don't know if you have any experience with it or, in that case, it would be how
Yeah,
are things for
yeah.
you?
I've not had like any major complications, and thank God, knock on wood. But you can get health insurance. There's a couple ways. If you have an employer, they're obligated to pay for national health insurance. It's not great. It's kind of weird. China's a socialist country. Their healthcare isn't particularly socialist. It's kind of pay as you go, actually. Um, yeah, there are private insurers. There's also private hospitals. If you want to pay American prices, you certainly can. Oh yeah, you just head over to the American. You head
You
over to the
certainly
American
can.
hospital. Oh yeah. Um, uh, I have national health insurance through my company because I'm my own employee. I'm legally obligated. I also have health insurance through the American Chamber of Commerce as a member. You have to pay additionally. It doesn't come with membership, but it's an option for members. There are also private insurers and private hospital networks. So you can pay a lot. I don't. I pay the equivalent. I probably pay, I don't know, $100-ish a month for my um, national health insurance. Or I guess I pay 200 because I pay 100 as a company and 100 as my own employee. So I pay 200 for that. And then the private insurance is another 150, something like that. These are US dollars. So it's not cheap. It's okay. I don't know. There's probably a better deal, but I don't really care. I haven't had to use it, and hopefully I never will.
Okay.
You
Fair
know?
enough. Fair
Yeah.
enough.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
do you have a plug for me, man? Is there a plug? You want me to give your YouTube channel? You want me to throw out there your acting company, your whatever you want to plug, man. This is your this is your time, man. Put it out there. Let me know.
You can plug my TikTok. What's the hold on? You can tell I'm very professional. I know what it's called. It's at Barnaby Schweppes on TikTok. You can take a look. I'll continue flexing. as TikTok's the place for that.
Yes,
You
dope,
know,
dope.
instead of in my personal life. There you go. And yeah, that's it. I've got nothing else to sell. I don't know. Stay hydrated, eat well, stay in school, don't do drugs.
At the on the comment section, I'll have your TikTok there so people could jump on with you.
Yeah,
All right, so
yeah, no problem.
my last question for you is there's a young guy, he's in your position, man. He's thinking about busting the same move you did. What advice do you give him?
I would say that your worst enemy is rigidity. If you are a rigid person, or if you're someone who always has to have it done the correct way, or your way, or whatever, you're in for a bad time. There are things there are things here that are, again, from my viewpoint, contradictory, illogical, or wrong. But like, okay, what am I gonna? Yeah, let me write a letter to fucking President Xi and let him know, like like it's whatever, right? So so if you are going to do it, you need to be uh, formless. You must flow with the river. You must be like water,
You like water.
and then you will be okay. So don't be rigid more than anything.
Bro, that was amazing. That was a good one.
Yeah,
Well,
no problem. Yeah.
Max, dude, you are an absolute inspiration, man. You live a pretty wild life, dude. It's admirable. That's awesome, man. And I thank you. I thank you so much for taking your time and talking to us, man. That's fucking amazing. Thank you.
Of course, yeah, no problem. Happy to have done it.
Awesome, brother. Awesome. I wish you the best. Wow, dude, thank you so much. That was awesome, man. You're awesome. Thank you, Max. That's a great story. For my viewer at home, if you have any questions that you want me to ask some of my future guests, or there's maybe a country you want me to look into and talk to somebody from there, let me know. Put it in the comments section. That's it. Hope to see you in 2 weeks.